You accidentally got into watch dealing through watch collecting.
Yeah.
Do you actually have a watch you would never sell?
Yeah, I've got lovely.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I am here in Huddersfield and I have got James from the Swiss Link with me today. Welcome, James. Just so you know, James has 1 million Instagram followers, 81,000 Facebook followers, 10,000 Instagram followers for the Swiss Link alone, and he is a professional photographer, fashion icon and watch dealer.
It's bigging me up too much, guys. I can't deal with this.
James he is one of the best dressed men currently posting on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. I didn't write that. Somebody's got hold of my notepad and put that in there. I don't recognise the handwriting.
Definitely not me.
And also, in case you're interested, and I'll put a link in the description, James has recently been interviewed by GQ magazine, and he's on, not on the cover, but he's got a 3-page spread, and GQ magazine found him extremely fascinating. And I think young love is blossoming with his interviewer. If you have a look at this particular picture here, I'm not going to read too much into this. Anyway, welcome, James.
This is just Brandon's fantasy story.
Welcome, James. Welcome to the channel. Do you want to do any more introductions, or have you got anything else to add?
I'd just like to say, on the Swiss Link, we're a luxury watch dealer based in Huddersfield. We buy and sell pre-owned and brand new watches, and we're competitively priced, and hopefully you'll learn more about the business and get to know me and the Swiss Link a little better during this interview.
Fantastic.
Brendan.
Yeah, great. Listen, without further ado, I want to ask you a couple of watch-related questions. Yeah,
Ooh, that's my forte. I'm not very good at interviews, but watches I can do maybe.
How did you get into watches?
So I got into watches quite a few years ago before COVID. I wanted something to wear myself personally, so I bought a Breitling Navitimer vintage Cosmonaut. Right. And a Tissot Heritage Gennaro from like 1997.
That was a cuff there.
And that was my sort of gateway drug into the watches. Yeah. You know, kind of vintagey pieces. And then I realised I can't really afford to keep buying more watches without selling them. Yes. So I sold both of them. Got a cheeky little Pepsi 16710. First super special watch. Actually, Sea Dweller. I got a Sea Dweller first. Right. Forgot about that one because you know it's a bit more boring, isn't it? The Sea Dweller. Yeah, I got a 2004 Sea Dweller, and then I sold that to get the Pepsi, and that was when I was like, wow, it all just sort of got a bit out of hand from there, and then eventually I needed to start selling them, and then I started enjoying selling them more than owning them, if that makes sense.
So you're an accidental watch dealer? Kind
of, yeah, and yeah, I just used to flip watches personally, you know, find them on eBay, all that sort of stuff. Cool. And then eventually started working at the Swiss Link.
Which you're now part of the business, aren't you?
Now part of the business, yeah.
So you accidentally got into watch dealing through watch collecting. Yeah. Do you actually have a watch you would never sell?
Yeah, I've got a lovely Constellation Polypan, steel one, fantastic watch, really like that. And obviously it goes under the radar, looks really cool, it suits my style a little bit. Yeah, I love it.
And that's, you've only got one?
Yeah, only got one. There's a personal watch that I actually wear.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got other watches that I don't really wear, but they're in the they're in the collection. But yeah. Yeah. Just some secret spice, you know.
So you've got some secret spice.
But only a few. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And what is a typical day at the Swiss Link? How does that pan out? Typical day at the Swiss Link.
Photographing the stock takes ages. I think people like the photos. It took me a long time. Yeah. So I hope people like them. Yeah, meeting clients, coming in the office. You know, it always takes longer than you think. You have to have we have a good chat with everyone. Make sure everyone feels like they've come into a living room rather than come into a business.
It's very cosy here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice and cosy. Yeah. You know, give people a drink. So yeah, basically that, and then you know, on the phone a lot. Takes up most of your time. WhatsApp, all the messages to reply to. Yeah. Emails. You know. Plenty of stuff to be getting on with. Yeah.
If I wanted to sell you a watch, what would I have to do?
If you wanted to sell us a watch, super simple. Give me a ring. I'll give you a quote on the phone. or after a few minutes, say. Or you can email us if you're, a bit older, like yourself, Brendan.
Thank you. I never heard of email before. I'll have to look that up on my Instagram.
Yeah. Well, some people just send us a DM on Instagram.
Yeah. But how do you give a price? How would I? So let's say I wanted to sell this, which I got from the Swiss Link 2 weeks ago. I got it at an amazing price, and I'm going to be very honest with you. This is honesty time here. When I bought the watch, even though I was having a nice conversation, I was looking at the watch to make sure it was exactly what it says on the tin. A full set, matching serials. If I wanted to sell you this watch via email, how do you expect me to send you pictures? Do any way before you give a price?
I'd get you to send me some pictures. I'll have a look at it, make sure the condition looks all right, and then I'll say when you bring it to the office or you post it to us, I'll have a proper in-person inspection, because obviously I can't inspect it properly on pictures, especially if it's an older watch. You need to have a look at it in real life.
Yes. What about insurance? Is my watch? I'm going to send you the watch. Is it insured?
Absolutely. If you send us your watch, we'll send you a postage label which we've purchased, which is covered by our insurance policy. Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the watch is covered, but
we always like people to just come to the office and meet us and have a chat.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
It's more fun, People like it more. It's more fun.
For those of you that don't know,
and when you're buying watches, there's 100 watches on eBay.
Yes.
But I like people to buy a watch from us because maybe they like dealing with us.
Yes.
Because they can buy an Explorer from anyone, but it just depends who you have a nice bond and a connection with, and you enjoy having a chat with.
Well, I've been over the moon with mine since I got it. I've owned this watch now for about 2 weeks, and it's become my daily, purely because I wear the watch through the night, and I found the lume amazing. Honestly, I found the lume amazing. Being an old fart, like you said, when you get older, you wake up quite a few times in the night, and I find if I can read the time, I can just sort of think, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I think I better go back to sleep. Yeah. If I grab my phone, I'm up.
Yeah, you don't want to get that white light.
So that's why I wear them through the night. It's purely for timekeeping. But I've been thoroughly impressed with the watch since I got it.
And you got it less than list, so you win a chicken dinner,
A lot less than list. So if you want to sell your watch, you mail it to the Swiss Link, you authenticate it.
Yep.
How do you do that?
We have a watchmaker who has a look at it. Well, obviously, we have a look at it first, because obviously, if it's a crappy fake, we can just we can tell, or even a good fake, really, we can just tell straight away. Yeah. It's pretty obvious for us. Yeah. But if there's anything that we think maybe is not quite right, you'll always send it to the watchmaker. Yeah. Just make sure that everything's all good. We'll whip the case back off if he needs to, have a look at it, examine the movement. What's
your more passion? Is it photography or is it watches?
Both, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I blend the watches with the photography, and obviously I've got my own photography business as well.
Yes.
So I'll do that as well.
And I follow you now on Instagram, and I'll put a link in the description to the photography as well, and I believe you do paid work as well, photography wise?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah?
But mainly watches is the main business.
Watches, yeah. James, tell me, how do you maintain your low prices?
We maintain our low prices because we only have one employee. We've got an office in Huddersfield. Yeah. We could go and get a shop, increase our expenses, blah, blah, blah. But then at the end of the day, we have to increase our prices for the customer. Yeah. And yeah, I think it's good to have low prices because it attracts new customers, because we're not a 25-year-old business. We don't have piles of pre-existing customers like some people do. So we need to attract new customers, and obviously it's a competitive market. So the way we are now, the way we work, I think it works really well for us. And I don't really see us getting a big shop front anytime soon. Yeah. Because I don't think it's necessary anymore.
Would you not be tempted if you got, let's say, I believe your favourite watch is a Batgirl, a BLNR. Would it not be tempted if somebody bought one from an AD and then they needed some quick money, and let's say I think the MSRP is 9.5, and you got it for 10.5, and the going rate is 13.5? Would you not be tempted just to follow the flock and maximise your profits by trying to get 13,500 for it?
No, because to get 13,500 for it, you have to be one of the biggest businesses
Yeah.
in England. You have to spend thousands of pounds on Google advertising, etc., etc. You know, the people that are getting that kind of money are the ones that have got a lot of staff, and obviously they spend a lot more money on marketing. Whereas our marketing is pretty much free. We post social media videos, and that's how people find us.
Yeah.
So you know, everyone's different, and that seems to work for us.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah.
I actually can't remember how I found you. Wanted my subscribers to have the best deal possible.
Yeah,
And
we try our best for sure.
the only reason I worked with you guys were you were willing to take the hit for my subscribers to get really good deals.
Yep.
Where I tried to work with other grey market dealers, and none of them wanted to, so we say, accommodate selling the watches at a reasonable price. So that's how I personally cannot remember what brought me here in the first place, but it probably was through social media.
Yeah, it was probably the Instagram for sure.
Yeah.
And obviously as well, when you offer fair pricing,
Yeah.
it's probably going to be better for people when they sell their watch back to us.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to lose as much money, right? If you lose £3,000 on a generic sports watch,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be a little bit annoyed. But if you buy let's say a Batgirl from us, you're not going to lose £3,000. Obviously, you're going to lose money because if you sell your watch in 2 months, wherever you buy it from, you're going to lose money because we're a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But we try and make it as not horrific for people as possible, you know, because a lot of people do chop and change. They chop and change quick. They think they're going to keep it for 3 years, and then in 4 months, oh, I want a Pepsi.
So I was here today, and before we started filming, you had 2 returning customers.
Yeah.
And last time I was here on a Saturday, on an emergency pickup of this watch, you also had 2 returning customers, and they were doing exactly what you said. They keep changing their mind.
Yeah, they change their mind a lot. That's what people do for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to chop and change. You know, it's not like you want to change your house. It's obviously a huge process. You want to change your watch, you just ring me and say, James, I really do fancy changing my black GMT for a Pepsi, and you know, in 10 minutes I've sorted a deal out for you, and you can come and pick it up in the same afternoon. And you know, it's just easy. So people go for it.
So you're wearing a Zenith, I believe. Do you want to tell me about this watch? This
Rolex Zenith Daytona.
Zenith
we'll get a close up after, but
thank you very much.
1996 Rolex Daytona with the Zenith base movement.
Right.
Yeah, really passionate about this watch. We've got it in stock at the minute, but
how much are you selling it for?
£22,750.
Why is that watch so expensive?
Well, now I'm gonna employ some sales tactics on you here, Brandon. It's not expensive because it's actually cheaper than a brand new 2024 Daytona Panda.
Yes.
Which looks pretty much the same.
No, it doesn't.
It looks very similar.
I'm going to fight you over this.
Okay. Other than the ceramic bezel, the dial's pretty much the same because they've reduced the batten markers, so it looks more like a Zenith Daytona than other ones.
So the new one is more like the old one. Is that what you're saying? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the new 2024 Panda Daytona looks more like a Zenith than like a 2017 Daytona because they've slimmed down the sub dials and the batten markers, so the dial is very similar to this, and then obviously they've just got the ceramic bezel, but they've even put a steel ring around the ceramic bezel, which is basically harping back to the Zenith Daytona.
Right.
And it's such a significant watch because this is the Mac Daddy that created the whitelist, the infamous whitelist. It all stemmed from this watch in the late 90s. You couldn't just walk in and buy one, whereas you could with a Pepsi, you could with a Submariner, etc., etc. So yeah. And obviously there's a lot less Zenith Daytonas on the market than brand new 2024 Daytonas, and it costs less money, and it's harder to find a really nice one. So what do you think's better to have your money in? A new one that you can get 10 of in a trade group in 10 minutes, or a lovely, really good condition Rolex service papers full set one from the 90s that's super sharp, and there's only probably like 7 on the UK market, and it costs like £1,000 less. So this is what I'm passionate about. but we sell everything, of course, because you know.
Yeah, but I believe you have a problem with modern watches. You really are, and is it? Would you call neo vintage? Is that the right word?
Neo vintage. I like neo vintage. Yeah, I think neo vintage is a good buy at the minute, because every year less and less become available, and the price is not absurd. You know, they still cost less than modern ones in most cases. So you're getting in my opinion, a cooler watch with a sleeker case. Looks a bit more elegant, and they're getting a bit more rare compared to the new ones. You know,
I do have a long F. I think it's a 16110N.
a 16610. Yeah.
16610N, and when you mean slimmer, you mean profile, aren't you?
The cases were a bit thinner. You know, whereas like a 2010 to 2020 Submariner, the case, in my opinion, it's all opinion, right? The case is fat and chunky, and I don't really like it. I sell it because people like it. Not everyone agrees with me, but I don't like it. I like the old one.
Talking about old ones, do you want to talk to me about these three watches?
Yeah. So we've got a non-date Submariner 14060M. We've got a Kermit 16610 LV and a 16710 GMT Master Pepsi with a nice pink faded bezel.
And
so this is what we mean by neo vintage, I guess.
Yeah.
Things that were made from sort of like 1990 up until late 2000s. So the Kermit, for example, there's cool stuff about this watch. It actually features the first maxi dial ever on a Submariner. So at the same time, if you bought a normal black sub, this would come with the maxi dial, and the normal black sub would come with a standard dial.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. And then obviously you've got the new modern iteration, the Starbucks.
Can we tell people what you mean by maxi dial?
So maxi dial.
I know what you mean.
Bit geeky, isn't it? But the maxi dial is the lume plots on the hour markers. They're bigger. The hour markers are bigger.
Yeah.
And it just looks a little bit different. And a lot of the time, back in the day, people used to fake the Kermit by just putting the green bezel on the black Submariner.
Yes.
And you get someone that didn't realise that it's meant to have a maxi dial.
Okay.
But yeah, and then we've got a non-date. This is pretty great. So this is from 2010, so it's pretty much the last of the pre-ceramic non-date Submariners. So it's got an engraved rehort instead of having the serial number between the lugs, but it's still got the good old jingly jangly bracelet.
Not solid end links then, no?
No, it's not. It's actually the bracelet never really got upgraded on the non-date, which is kind of weird because they upgraded it on the date of the same period.
I didn't know that.
Did you not?
No.
Yeah, so yeah, they always kept this old, I think it's a 93150 bracelet.
Yeah.
And it's really rattly, but it's part of the charm, isn't it? And also, there's a pretty cool fact about the non-date. They never got rid of the drilled lug holes. So on a Submariner date in 2003, they put a no-holes case for the first time on the Submariner. And on the non-date, they just never changed it until they'll give you the ceramic non-date in 2010 or 13 or whatever it was.
So you're telling me that on the non-date, in the M series, the last version, there was never a no-holes case?
Never, ever. They didn't make it. It's almost like they were just cheaping out on the watch. And
because
not as many people bought it.
I'm afraid to say this, but that was the poor man's Rolex, wasn't it? So that was the cheapest. Because it was
back in the day, like in 2007 or whatever it might be.
$2,000, wasn't it?
It was something like that. In the early 2000s, it was about $2,000. Yeah. So you probably buy that one because you didn't have the extra 750 quid or whatever for the sub date. Whereas now, because less people bought it, they're kind of equally priced.
Right, it's confession time.
Yeah.
I own this exact watch.
You own a 14060, do you?
I own this style of watch.
Yeah.
I own the 2007 to 2009, the long F, I've said it all the time. Let me just see. Yes, so that's a short F. So I have the one that came just before this one, the longer F. And I did not know, even though I own the watch, that the later versions, the last versions, didn't have a no-holes case. And you also taught me something else today, which I have now forgotten. Yes, I assumed that the last version of this would have had solid end links. So this basically was the poor man's Rolex, wasn't it?
Kind of, yeah.
as least as
but now in 2024 we don't say that. We say it's the tool watch.
The tool watch, yeah. Well, yeah.
You know?
I mean, I've got this exact.
Marketing though, right?
I mean, I could compare the two, and the only difference between mine and this would be mine was transitional, so it's got the serial number inside and on the rehort. And
never heard of that before.
It's a transitional one, you see.
Okay.
And
I've never seen one.
I'll bring it next time I come up, and it's named after the movie the Long Good Friday.
Okay.
And it's called the Long F, and all it is, it's the watch is not worth any more money. It's just where you've got the F there at the 100 feet.
Okay.
It's longer.
Yeah.
And it was a transitional between the old and the new, and yeah, I'll bring it to you. But I have suffered the movie the Long Good Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's wearing this watch in it, so I still haven't figured out why it's called the Long Good Friday. I think it's just...
I've never heard of the Long Good Friday Submariner, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's called the Rolex Long F. And then you said something else today which shocked me.
Okay.
And this is purely as a collector for you guys not to send your watches into Rolex for a service.
Yep.
This is a standard Kermit, and there is another Kermit which James has already told me about, so I'm going to ask James to re-explain it, which is called a flat 4, and I'll let James explain what that means.
So this is a 2010 Kermit,
right?
On a V serial, but in 2003 and early 2004 you could get it with a flat 4 bezel insert, which literally just means it's got a flat 4 bezel insert.
At the top of the 4.
At the top of the 4, yeah. The top of the 4 is kind of wider and it's flat.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have been changed at service over the years for a modern bezel that's got the modern numeral style on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth a lot more money just for that reason. But if you had a non-date sub or just a normal black Submarine date, the flat 4 doesn't make any difference to the value, because prior to 2004 they still made Submariners for years and years and years.
Okay.
Whereas the Submariner Kermit only come out in 2003, so it's only like a year and a half that you can actually get the flat 4.
What's the premium on a flat 4 versus if they're basically the flat 4 year and then the year after came the normal one? What's the difference in price between a flat 4? Just rough.
Thousands. Roughly, it depends on the condition and everything, but thousands of pounds. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say it's 11 grand for a 2006.
Yes.
Kermit. Flat 4 might be 15 grand these days.
And the reason I brought this up is I assumed if I owned a flat 4 and I sent it into Rolex for a major overhaul,
yeah,
James led me to believe that I would lose that bezel.
Oh, only if they changed it, you know. If the bezel's in good condition, they're never going to change the bezel because
Okay.
there's no reason to change it.
Right.
And obviously you can say, don't change my bezel insert, say
Okay.
it's got a scratch on and maybe they want to change it.
But
from
there is
scratch.
no option, did you say, to flat 4 swap? You're just going to get a generic one?
That's why you've got the value in the flat 4.
Okay.
Because you can't get a new one.
So how to devalue your watch overnight is sending it for service, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And one last question is, how much are you selling that one for?
This Kermit will be £10,900.
10,900 for a Kermit.
Yep.
That's incredible price. I have a Rolex AD, a fantastic AD. I'm not going to mention who they are, but they're selling this exact watch, not a flat 4, because I looked on the certified pre-owned scheme. Would you like to guess how much they're selling it for?
Ooh, probably 14 grand, something crazy.
Would you like to guess again?
More? Wow, 15 grand?
Would you like to guess again?
Oh wow.
I'm going to put it up here after.
Anything more than that's pure dreamland, isn't
No,
it,
keep
really?
going. I want you to keep going. Come on.
16 and a half.
Keep going.
17.
Keep going.
19.
You're very close.
Wow.
I'm going to say 19, but I know it's 19 and a bit.
Yeah.
For this exact watch.
Yeah.
And the only difference between this one and the Swiss Link is you wear this side of the Swiss Link. How much is 11 grand?
10.9.
10.9. Would you? And if I was to sell this watch now, would you give me 9.8 for it?
Not quite 9.8.
Be honest with me. How much would you give me for this watch if I was selling it?
Probably about 9.5.
9.5.
Obviously, we take a bit of a bid.
9.5, and I buy it for 10.8. I can live with that. I can generally live with that. My point is this: certified pre-owned. I know people want to buy certified pre-owned, but you wear this watch out of here, it's worth 9.5 in a month, hopefully. You buy the certified pre-owned, you wear it once. It's
You've
worth
lost
how much?
Thousands and thousands.
It's worth £9.5. That's a £10,000 drop.
You know what else is interesting? Sorry to interrupt.
That's what just annoys me about certified pre-owned.
Yeah.
Is certain watches it works well with. The modern versions, I
Yeah.
believe this is. Sorry, I got to say this before I forget. This certified pre-owned is 11. I know you're going to laugh. I know you're going to laugh. And again, I wear this out of the shop. Certified pre-owned. What are you going to give me for this watch?
Probably about 7.
7. And I paid 7.5.
Yeah.
Got lucky on this. I know this was part of Deal of the Week, but I just couldn't help it, guys. So that's what I was trying to explain to you. Is part of the reason why I bought this watch for the Swiss Link and from James is that they're no different. They're checking these watches. They are real. They're kosher. If there's a problem with the watch, they will sort it. And a £10,000 loss wearing a watch, you guys genuinely to think about that before you buy certified pre-owned. The numbers don't make any sense, guys.
And you know what?
Sorry,
else?
James. I interrupted you.
We've got an unworn, fully stickered Kermit, which is super rare. Obviously, it's a minimum of 14 years old now because they stopped making them in 2010.
I've seen it.
Yeah, so we've got that for 14,450 quid.
Yes.
And they're selling that for more just for a regular pre-owned one. And we've got new old stock.
The only thing I'll say is when Rolex does do it, they do it right.
Yeah.
But I would never pay 19 grand for a Kermit. No way. So James, can you tell me what excites you about watches as a dealer?
As a dealer, it's a bit different to a watch collector because we deal with modern watches every day of the week. So we're pretty used to them at this point. We've had them all multiple times. So what excites the dealer is the condition of old watches. That's when I sit down with another dealer and we get all excited about a watch, because if it's from the 1990s and it's never had a polish, and maybe it's a golden day date, for example, it's never had a polish. It's got a razor sharp clasp crown. It's got no stretch in the bracelet. This is what gets the dealer fizzing, So if you've got something like that, feel free, give us a call. We're interested in stuff like that.
Are you buying at the moment in this economy?
Yeah, always buying. If you're not buying, you're not selling.
So if I had a collection of 8 watches and I brought them here, would you offer me on them all?
Depending on the watches, If you had 8 Breguets, probably not.
I have 8 Breguets.
If you've got a Breguet collection, maybe not. No offence to Breguet, but
there's a really big watch dealer in the United Kingdom, a very posh one. I'm not going to say their name.
Okay.
And they are dumping Omegas and 2 other brands, and one of them I think is Breguet. They're dumping them at 40% off MSRP, and they're an AD, and they're dumping Breguets. So you must have you must be onto something there about Breguet. Actually, while we're on this subject, can you tell me? Let's try and beat these YouTubers. What is your top 3 watch brands?
Top 3 watch brands.
I want you to think about this because we're going to hold you to this, and you're not allowed to change your mind.
Yeah. But it depends where you're coming from a business or from personal.
Do both. Do business first. Top 3 watch brands.
Business, obviously Rolex is always number 1. We sell the most Rolexes, and then we sell well on Paneroids. So if I get a good Paneroid in stock, I'm happy with that. I love Paneroids.
You're going to get killed for that, by the way.
Of course. Yeah.
Heisenberger.
And
real men wear Paneroid. I've got a subscriber called Heisenberger, and every comment is real men wear Paneroid. That's his comment.
Wow.
There you go, Heisenberger. You've got a new customer here.
I like a good cheap Omega because they represent good value for money. So maybe one that's from like the 1990s or something. I think they represent good money for the customers and for the watch dealer.
So you're gonna
we struggle. Like, I like the way Tudors look.
Yes.
But they're a struggle as a business proposition because they're all new. So you've just gone and spent, $4,000 or whatever it might be on a new Tudor, and then you come to sell it to us, and you're going to take a humongous loss.
Oh my God, I've lost.
And that dynamic is something that the watch dealer struggles with.
Can we go back to that subject, because this idiot has gone through 11 Tudors.
11.
Wow. And what happened was, I'll share it with the group. I was overweight, shall we say, and they're very slab-sided, the Tudors.
Yeah, they're very slab-sided, yeah.
And
especially the older ones.
Yeah, well, even the newer ones, and they were all. I loved them, and there's no half links on a Tudor, and there's no micro adjustment on the clasp. So
there is now.
Yeah, but even they're crap, right?
Oh,
I've had them as well, right? And I went from having, I think at one stage, I know I had 8. At one time, I owned 8 at one time in my collection.
Really? Blimey.
And I woke
Must
up.
have been half the catalogue.
Yes, and I woke up one morning and I realised, 1, they all looked the same, and 2, none of them fit me anymore because I lost 3 stone.
Yeah.
And then there was no adjustment, and they had fake rivets on the bracelet, which means you couldn't get, at the time, you couldn't get even an aftermarket one to match.
Yep.
So, and I totally agree with you, but here's the thing. I was prepared to take the hit. So every single one I sold, I was prepared to take the hit. And I lost money on every single one I sold, apart from the Panda.
Really?
But I got out of that break even because I got the first one.
Yeah.
So I got it at $390, and by the time I sold it, with price increases, it was 4.5. I think it's almost 5 now for the Panda.
Yeah.
So I got lucky with that one, and then I had an MN21, which god awful watch, but I had one of the first ones, and people still thought it was rare because they only made 3,000. Seriously, they only made 3,000 of them. Oof. And I got out of that at a profit.
Okay. Good
but
for
if
you.
you add the combined losses of my Tudors, if the wife's listening, 0 losses.
Of course.
If she's not listening, it's in excess of £7,000.
Yep. And this is the thing with Tudor. You know, if you buy a Breitling brand new,
yes,
they know they're going to lose money on it.
Yes.
But with a Tudor, a lot of people think because it's part of the Rolex family, maybe it's an investment or something like that.
Yeah.
But you're just going to lose money the same as you do with an Omega.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but a lot of people can't quite get used to that.
Take the hit, yeah. I woke up one morning and realised I had a lot of overpriced watches.
Had an epiphany.
They're not as well finished as they should be. And we used to forgive that, guys. When I started buying Tudors, the nicest Tudor I ever owned was the black base stainless steel. I don't know if you've seen one, and it's literally like this watch, a stainless steel, and the MSRP was £2,700, right? Yep. But now they deleted the watch. It wasn't that popular, but they deleted it. By the time they deleted that watch, it was just shy of £4,000, and the latest GMT, which hasn't had a design change in 6 years, is now £4,000.
It needs a design change. The Pepsi GMT.
Yeah, it's £4,000, and therefore what James would pay you if you bought it today, and don't quote me on this, I'll put it up here on the screen. A brand new Tudor GMT where the bracelet is a different colour to the case. It has a known date problem with the date sticking on that watch, that they never fixed it properly. Mm-hmm. So if you buy an older one, be careful. James would give me, if I was lucky, 2,000 maybe.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. So that's a 50% dead loss the minute you bought the watch. So that's back. I don't want to poo all over Tudors. I know there's loads of people collect Tudors, but just be careful because Tudors are not Rolexes. Right. So talking about modern watches, and we did neo vintage. Talk to me about what's your favourite modern watch. Now, I believe it's a Sky Dweller. That's your favourite Rolex watch. And somebody wrote here that the green one would be your absolute favourite. Do you want to tell me about that?
No, I have a bit of a hatred for this mint green dial on the Datejust and the Sky Dweller.
I'll hide that one.
I just think the green is so average on the dial. I don't really understand why people go so crazy for it. Well, I know why, because it's harder to get.
Do you know this guy's getting this watch, by the way? You know that, don't you?
In the head, because it's harder to get, it's obviously a better watch. Yes. But in reality, if you just look at the dial, there's nothing special about the dial. The green is, to me, just a really boring green.
We're going to agree to disagree on this, because I can see the sunburst dial. I'm clutching at straws here. I can see the sunburst dial there. I just think it's a lovely watch. Well, while we're on the subject, they did do a motif dial.
Yes.
What did you think of that?
It's better than the plain one.
Not too busy?
No, I think it looks quite cool with the Jubilee. I don't personally like modern watches, but I think the motif one was better than the plain one.
Yeah.
because it's just a bit more jazzy, a bit more different.
I've never got to the bottom of this. Everybody I know wanted it, and Rolex deleted it because they said it wasn't popular. Now, I've never heard...
They do that all the time, though. That's the key to the Rolex mission.
Yeah.
Is to delete the ones that people like. That's the thing to do, apparently.
Another birdie told me your second favourite watch is a Yacht-Master.
The
My
Yacht-Master.
favourite watch.
No, you know why I hate the Yacht-Masters?
Why?
Because dealers think about things differently to the public.
Go ahead.
I hate the bezel on the Yacht-Master.
My
because
favourite
people bring the Yacht-Master in, and it'll have scratches on the bezel.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, you can just polish it out. I'm like, no, you can't. You can't just polish it out.
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money to get it sandblasted.
Right.
And that has to reflect in the buying price of the watch, and then obviously people are unhappy.
This one, I'm looking at this one. This one looks okay to me.
That is a fantastic one.
Is this one for sale?
This is for sale indeed. Rhodium dial with a blue hand.
And how much is it?
It's £10,500, so basically list price.
What year is it? Do you know? Do you know the year?
It is 2022.
Okay, so
very good condition.
New card. Yeah, I can see that now, and it's absolute mint. So 10.5. What could we offer this on Deal of the Week for? Do you reckon?
Deal of the Week, we can beat retail, even though you can't walk into the shop and buy one.
You can, but you have to wait a year for the rhodium. Sorry, not the rhodium. They're all rhodium. The grey dial, you'd have to wait a year now. If you're lucky.
That's what I mean. You can't just walk into Goldsmiths and just pick one up any day of the week.
So
yeah,
10.5. Deal of the Week price, James?
£10,250.
£250 off. Now, there's one caveat.
And it's already a good price at 10.5. So 10.250.
10.5. It's £50 more than MSRP.
Yeah.
So, no, it's 10.5. No, it is 10.5.
It's about 10.5.
No, yeah, it's 10.5. On this one here, there is a caveat though. If you want the offer price, if you make it this far, I think we are going to do this on a special Deal of the Week episode this week. You have to quote Brenny. You have to quote episode 020, but there's one other thing you have to do. You have to follow James on both his Instagrams.
Follow the Swiss link.
And his other Instagram for the photography, which is amazing. Honest to God, I'm not into photography. I know nothing about photography, but I looked at it this morning and they're incredible, incredible pictures, James. And you have to answer one last question. If you answer this question, I will give the Swiss Link another £50. So I will give you the money.
Fantastic. Very nice of you, Brendan.
We will make this watch for a subscriber. You have to know the answer to this question. So you'll get the watch for £10,200. They're on Instagram. Can you name their most viral video? That's all you have to do. So if you can name the most viral video that the Swiss Link have ever put out, you can quote Brenny, you can quote Deal of the Week episode 20, you can have that watch for £10,200. So James, what is your favourite Rolex line?
Favourite line of Rolex is the Day-Date line, because you can get so much variety with the dials, and they're really interesting. You know, you can't get a Submariner with a onyx stone dial, for example. You can't get it with an oxblood stone dial. It's just black or blue. It's not very exciting. Whereas Day-Dates, that's where all the spice is.
Okay.
Especially on the old ones. I like the 36mm because I'm quite slim and it suits me more.
What's your wrist size?
About 6.5 inches.
Same as mine.
Yeah.
Or
maybe slightly less.
I think we're going to agree to disagree. I like the 40s, mate. If I was going to have a Day-Date, I'd have is it a 40?
40, yeah. And then they made the god awful Day-Date too in the early 2010s.
Okay.
That was pretty hideous. With a big bezel. Kind of looks like a fake watch, even though it's not fake. Didn't like that at all. But yeah, 36 for me.
When you said you like the Day-Dates, you mean the President?
And the Day-Date President, yeah.
And you also, but you don't mean the modern ones. Are you not into the modern Rolexes?
No, not for me.
Not for you.
Obviously,
everyone
else is though. So obviously that's what we sell, and it's obviously easier to buy as well. Because finding good examples of 1980s Day-Dates is not very easy.
Yeah.
Because most of them are over-polished and pretty terrible.
So you don't like modern Day-Date Presidents? What about the new?
I think they look too big for what their purpose is to wear with smart clothes.
Okay.
I don't think smart clothes with a huge gold watch look very good together.
Okay.
It's not very classy. It's more.
What about the new ombre dial? What do you think of that?
Nice dial. I don't like the watch, but I love the dial. It's great.
Okay.
Especially the green one. The green one's really nice.
The green ombre.
Yeah, and the smoky black one's nice as well, right? It kind of goes to grey.
The smoky black one is the latest one, isn't it? If I got it right.
I think they made it for the Oscars or something like that.
Well, it's been great talking to James. Thanks, James, for your time. It's much appreciated. I hope the subscribers have enjoyed this short
thanks very
interview.
Much for visiting us.
No problem. Anything else you want to say to the subscribers before we end this short interview?
Thanks for watching this extremely boring video. If you've enjoyed it, comment below. And if you're looking to sell your watch, give us a ring. I'd be more than happy to buy it off you. Cheers.
Just so you know, I did actually sell them a watch, and I believe it's still for sale. My Bond 16th anniversary. James Bond anniversary, and this is currently available on the website, I believe. And again, thank you so much for your time. And if you can, even if you just have a conversation about watches, I learnt 2 things today about our watch that I have owned for over 5 years. I thought you owned the date. No.
No, you own the non-date, okay.
No, we just got to do this. We've just got to say this. We've got to agree on one thing, right? Why do you say non-date date when a sub is
I don't really know, because the sub originally was a non-date. It never had a date.
It drives me nuts. So this is a Submariner, and that's a Submariner date.
Yeah.
But why do we have to pander to idiots? Why do we have to call this a non-date when it's quite clear he hasn't got a date? Why can't we just call this a Submariner? Do you agree with me?
I agree, but it's easier in conversation to know which one you're talking about when you say non-date, you know?
It isn't though, is it? We are pandering to idiots, me included, but this is a Submariner. But back to my point, if you can have a conversation, you can learn something about watches, and I learned 2 things about a watch I actually own today. So thank you very much for your time, James. And
nice one. Now I'm going to treat Brandon to a cheeky local fish and chips.
Fish and chips, right?
Best fish and chips in Yorkshire.
Fantastic. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next Brenny video.
Cheers guys, thanks for watching.